Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. I know you guys absolutely just wait on bated breath for me to, randomly make these anymore and post them, but thanks for sticking around. I mean, I enjoy that you're here. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. It's been a few since we have spent this wonderful, amazing time together that I know you guys absolutely always wait for with bated breath. All right. I'm just happy that you're always here when I do upload because, I love spending time with you. So it's been a really exciting week this week. I've been kept on my toes by something very minor, very tiny, very delicate. If you follow any of my social feeds, then you would have seen a lot of where my attention has been, I guess, this week, along with where it usually is. I mean, honestly, we just threw in a little tiny member, and I don't know, I think it gave this week some color, if I do say so myself. I'm going into this week starting a new 30-day ban on Facebook. I didn't choose the thug life. I didn't choose it. People just seem to keep pushing me in that direction. But apparently Facebook also doesn't like when you call out guys who visually assault you and sexually harass you by sending you unwanted photographs of their weens. You guys know me. If you followed me for any time, I definitely talk about the constant work towards eliminating unsolicited dick pics, but the fight continues. It's 2019. You would think that these guys would see all of the content across the internet mocking them for that type of behavior. You think that they would be like, oh, I don't want to be in that category, but some of them seem to not just be in that category, but strive to make sure other people know he's in that category. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The world is a crazy place, but if you want to know more about that story and what's going on, you can definitely find posts on my Facebook and my Instagram, or you can also watch my newest episode of Daily Dose of Doll where we discuss dick pics. And I think I might need to make a new video titled When Dick Pic Offenders Throw Temper Tantrums. Yeah, I think that would be a really good episode, but not today. We're not going to let that dominate this conversation because it's Monday Coffee with the Doll, where we like to talk about things that are deep, that make us want to cry and get into our feelings, right? I mean, we talk about all the nitty-gritty. We talk about the dark things, the things that we don't like about ourselves, the things that we're trying to learn to accept about ourselves, and the struggle of those who just refuse to accept us. I've been contemplating doing this episode for a little while now. I thought that it would be a really relatable topic, and my current inbox is kind of pushing me in that direction, just like it did for my last episode where I kind of talk about growing up in a Christian household, and the pros and cons, the ups, the downs, the emotions, the feelings, the mindsets, the things that go on in those types of family environments and growing up in those types of religious lifestyles and things. And it seemed to help, definitely. A handful of you that have reached out to me or left comments sharing your experience with that and what I had to say about it and how you related to that and offering new advice. So thank you for everybody who got involved in the discussion on finding your own personal spirituality and kind of the difficulties of what religion itself can be for different people. This week, I thought that a good topic would be divorce, separation, and kind of moving on after the fact. Is something that I myself have been through. I fit into the divorced category. I fit into the been separated category. I fit into the, younger generation being divorced, because I think that's a growing thing as well. it's not older people or older demographic. There's a lot of young people who are divorced and going into their middle age with one divorce under their belt. But I think that it's something that a lot of us have struggled with. I think that it's something that we all kind of can share relatable topics on if it's something that you've been involved in. And I know it's something that I've been involved in. And I'm talking to a few different people in my inboxes, some doll fam members. And it's kind of like one of those things that I feel like if people are asking, then maybe I should share my experience on it. So this episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll is brought to you by Forever Above Me. Forever Above Me, rep your influence. Get your official mug of positivity, Monday Coffee with the Doll, Doll Fam merch. You can only get these designs from Forever Above Me. They are original OG Doll Fam products. I'm going to be creating a web store at some point. I don't know when, but these are the original products. So head up their link below, check them out, follow them, support them, and you will be a fam member for life. There's a lot of emotional waves, I think, in the topic of like divorce and separation and the struggles thereof. I was married by the time I was 21, and it was not a good relationship. It proved that it wasn't a good relationship pretty much its entirety, so from the age of 17 until 21. And, you know, marriage wasn't something that I wanted to ever do. I didn't want to be a wife or a mom. I didn't want to have kids. I was never the kid that like had these humongous big plans or like the normal plans. So I was never the little girl that was like, I can't wait to get married. Here's my wedding dress that I'm gonna wear in 15 years. You know, like I never was that little girl. But I got myself into a relationship, and you know, the relationship was toxic. It was unhealthy. I've talked about that in the past. And it shouldn't have happened. Like, marriage shouldn't have even have happened, right? But I got pregnant. I got pregnant at 20 years old. I was 21 years old, going into 21 years old. I was pregnant on my 21st birthday. And that wasn't planned. That wasn't planned. It was a surprise. It happened. And I was excited, you know. I loved the guy that I was with, no matter what shit show the condition of the relationship was. But I was doing my best. I had the mindset that, you know, you work that stuff out. I grew up in a Christian home, so things like divorce weren't not allowed. But I mean, ultimately you would want to try and fix your marriage and do all of these things, and you would want to develop a family with the guy that you're with, and you think about all this shit. I was young and stupid. I was like, okay, well, we're having a baby, we love each other. And in the beginning, you know, he was all about it, 100%, but that's kind of been a track record of his and a tool. But we won't get into that either. But, you know, I got married because I got pregnant. It probably could have been several more years, if ever, but I did. That was the choice that was made in that young, naive moment. You know, you're pregnant, you need to get married. It was definitely something that my family pushed. You know, you guys should get married. You guys need to, you know, be married before you have the baby, because after the baby, it's, you know, you should just do it before. So we did it before. I was, I think, 3 months pregnant when I got married. And my family did the absolute best that they could afford. It definitely was not a good experience. Looking back now, you know, I settled because it's what I was supposed to do. And it's not a good memory. It's not a good memory for a lot of reasons, but it's definitely not a good memory based off anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, my parents did absolutely everything they could afford to try and make that moment special for me. I'm just at a different place now, and I'm looking back, I'm like, man, girl, what were you thinking? thinking. But I was pregnant, and that seemed to be the right thing to do. That went with my religion at the time, that went with what my parents were wanting. Everybody was happy. So here we go, right? I was meant to be a mom, 100%. 100%. That's literally the best thing that came out of my past relationship, and I'll talk more about that. But that's, you know, when you're young and you're put in these situations, 100%, that's, you try to do the most normal, logical things, and that was the most normal, logical thing. You get married because you're pregnant. And, you know, everything went on its way, but unfortunately, my first choice of teammate in this world was a really, really bad one. It was a really bad one, and it didn't end well. And I remember the first time we were separated was when I found out he was cheating officially. Like, there was actual proof in my face that I couldn't make up some stupid excuse for as to why it's not real. But I found out he was having a full-blown affair with somebody very close to me, who I was doing everything in that time to help. And then, you know, I was going through so much at that point in my life, because it was also when I went through my miscarriage while he was having his thing. That's another story for another day. But he had decided to have, you know, a full-blown affair with somebody too close to home, which led me to find out about it, because that person bond to me ultimately made them break down and tell me the truth, because they truly, you know, regretted it and felt bad. So they told me the truth. They respected me enough to tell me what they did, knowing it would destroy our relationship, which I have respect for. I have respect for people who make, like, really, really bad mistakes. The kind of mistakes that no matter what, there's going to be negative fallout on both sides. So the fear of telling the truth is way greater, because you know you're losing more. And the fact that she wasn't selfish in that moment, and she respected me and told me, you know, I can't not forgive. You know what I mean? That's just where my heart is with that. But it wasn't that way on his side. And we were separated for about 6 months. 6 months we were separated. And I was still very young. My oldest was not even 2 yet all the way. So it was still very early on. And he did all of the same, you know, generic, basic type of things somebody who gets caught cheating does. The going out of their way for you, literally becoming the person that you've been telling them you need the whole time, but they refuse to give you until they're on the chopping block. So all of a sudden they're like, I'm gonna be the person of her dreams and treat her the way I should to get her back. And it got me back. And we weren't together for more than 2 years when it was very evident that he wasn't going to change, and this was it. This is where my life had this is it. This is your choice. You've done everything you can. You've given lots of choices. You tried a separation. You know, have done all the things that you yourself can do. You've even gone to the fact of literally turning yourself into whatever he wants. When he says jump, you say how high. Like, you've just destroyed yourself down to the very last ounce of yourself, and still nothing's changing. It's not getting better. And I think it's time to go in those moments. And it can be really hard to make that decision, because there's a lot of different fears in making that final choice, I think, to end a marriage. And I realized that through the past 8 years, this was like the 20th time that I've done the separation. I've done the things need to change, and still here we are almost a decade in, and nothing is changing. It's always been unhealthy. You've always made excuses. He's always lied. It's always been bad. You just have refused to be honest and real with yourself, and this thing clicked, and I was like, it's time to go. So that's what I did. I made that choice, and I started that process. Now I feel like my situation is very different from a lot of other situations. I think that there's a lot of different categories, I guess you could say. There's some divorces, there's some separations at work, you know, couples separate for a while, they really focus on the problems, they really work on their relationship, they work on their teamwork, you know, everything is actually worked on together, and ultimately you move on a better, stronger couple. That's great. It doesn't work like that for everybody. Some divorces are super clean, like the people are just mature about it, they realize that they're not meant for each other in that way, you know, everybody's super civil, everything's agreed on, easy peasy. But you know, unfortunately I think the greater percentage of people really go through extremely, probably the lowest point that they can go when going through a divorce. I really do. I think that there's definitely probably other things out there that if you went through also would weigh heavier, and you'd be like, nah, my divorce is nothing. But I mean, from what I've experienced, what I know my fan members who reach out to me have experienced, there's a lot of people who it really is the darkest point in their life when they're going through a divorce. And I think that when you're coming from a relationship that's not just toxic and fighting but also abusive, I think that adds another element. I think that adds a lot more to, you know, instead of just, say, some people's divorces are just, you know, it's just stressful, it's a big change, everybody's trying to find their new balance, but ultimately, you know, we left on good terms, it's just a change. And then you have divorces that are just like absolutely the most horrific, dark, horrible thing, and it can really weigh heavy on you. And my divorce was definitely on the darker side. My divorce was not fun. I think you go through such a roller coaster of emotions. I think that you go through a lot of different shocks. You're already leaving somebody that you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with, you dedicated your entirety to, and all of that is ending, right? You never thought that you would be here on your wedding day, but here we are, and this is what needs to happen. And I definitely went through some immediate phases where I was panicking, like, just go back, you know, what are you doing? Just ask him to forgive you. I went through that, but ultimately I stuck to my guns because I had a really good support system who, you know, let me know it wasn't, you don't need to be afraid. You know, you can do this. You are brave. You don't deserve that type of treatment. You know, you don't have to stay because, you know, it's the right thing to do for your kids. Because at that point, I now had a 3-month-old with my youngest. You know, you have all of these societal standards bouncing off of you, and you're trying to keep up with all of them. You're trying to keep up with how your family feels about your divorce, your friends feel about your divorce. You're trying to deal with the negativity and the attitude of a negative spouse if you have one, and their family, how their family feels about it. Then before the divorce is even finalized, you have new girlfriends, new boyfriends, you have new people coming in trying to claim that they're your kids' new parents. Like, you have all of these crazy things just coming down on you at one time, and that is a lot for a person to handle. How do you not break? I think that another element, you know, when you add is kids. If you have kids in a divorce, then there's custody issues, custody battles, things, you know, tend to get really messy. All of a sudden, you know, you're dealing with somebody who you go, who is this person? Like, how are they acting this way? I went through probably, you know, your pretty basic negative divorce where I was painted in ways I wasn't, where I was lied about, where I was framed for things. I was just, and you sit there going, like, why? Like, it sucks so bad. And I know that there's a lot of, you know, people, like, everybody has a part in the story, right? Like, you can't just blame one side. I know I 100% did things that I shouldn't have done, that I could have had made better choices in. I lashed out emotionally a lot. I got myself involved in conversations that he provoked a lot, that I should have just, you know, been more mature about, removed I wanted to stand up for myself. You know, I spent all these years being just drugged through the mud, and now all of a sudden you feel liberated and strong, and you want to give this person a piece of your mind and let them know why they're not going to treat you this way, and blah blah blah, and you just kind of let all your emotions out. And I think that it's healthy in a way, because I think that releasing that tension and that energy is good for you. But I would say release it at a good friend. Like, have a good support system in your life that can listen to you bitch and listen to you cry and listen to you rant and say all the horrible things that you want to do and that you're feeling. But ultimately, you need to keep it together, get through this situation factually based, and focus on you. Like, just focus on you. Because lashing out at that person and putting so much of your energy still into that person, I think is a lot of our kind of defenses, not letting go of that relationship fully, still having some piece of it, some type of interaction. And I don't think it's healthy. I really don't. I think that it probably adds more fuel to the fire. And looking back now, you know, that's what I would tell myself. I would tell myself, Emily, don't react, respond. It's not worth it. You're not going to change where the situation is now, but you can definitely make it better. Like, you can't go back. You're not going to teach him anything. You're not going to prove anything. Like, this is not going to gain you any speed in anywhere. It's not going to benefit you in court. It's not going to benefit you in your life. Like, just don't do that to yourself, because you don't deserve it anymore. Stop wasting your time on this person that's been just destroying you. You're getting a divorce for a reason. You're cutting that off for a reason. Let it go. Let it go. And that's easier said than done, because in that moment you're so panicked and you're so stressed and you're so depressed and full of anxiety. It's really hard to think with that clear of a head, that clear of a mindset. So now, of course, it's easy for me to be like, this is what you need to do. Divorce 101 made it easy. And it's not. It's not. It's messy. But I definitely think, you know, especially when children are involved, you need to do your best to always, you know, be the better person. And that can be really, really difficult when, you know, you start dealing with people trying to use your kids or manipulate your kids or hurt your kids or put your kids in danger in their new lifestyles. Like, there's so many aspects that are negative when you no longer are a team unit, where like everything needs to be decided together as a team. But now that you guys are divorced, like, that person is going to make their own choices, whether they're good or bad. So you're just kind of left in the fallout of trying to protect your kids the best way you can. And that's a nightmare, because there's always that one side, and I'm not saying it's always, but you know, you do deal with the situation where the one party doesn't follow the rules. They break court orders, they do whatever they want, they break the law, they harass you, they lie, they make stuff up, and all the meanwhile not keeping a simple agreement that you guys spent thousands of dollars in court to get, that they demanded but now won't actually do themselves. So you have all of these different things, and you don't ever feel like you have a court system that ever does the right thing, or, you know, handles things the right way, because the systems are totally jacked up. So it's a lot. Divorce is so much, and I think that anybody who's gone through that and really gone through the nitty-gritty side of it, there is an after. Like, I'm here to tell you, there is an after, and it does not go on forever. I'm going to take a moment to thank our official sponsor of today's show, the Whiskey Ranch Show. It's not a show. Yes, find all you need in offensive material on the Whiskey Rants page. If you're the type of person who speaks your mind too often to the point where usually it results in somebody else being offended or crying for days about you online, visit the Whiskey Rants show. It's not a show. It's a show sometimes. I don't know what it is anymore, honestly. But yeah, this is a home for anybody who feels at home in Facebook jail. Yeah, visit the Whiskey Ranch show. You can find it on Facebook. Occasionally there's a live show. There's some talk about a call-in show. But mostly it's a lot of fun. And it's somewhere you can just kind of absorb your darkest colors. So, the Whiskey Ranch show. Sometimes it's live. Most of the time it isn't. But it's always offensive. I think that there's definitely an after to every divorce situation, every separation situation. And I think that a lot of us in the moment feel like we're never going to get there. I know I did. I know that I felt like I was never going to get to the finish line. And honestly, I'm still not. Like, I'm officially divorced, but being officially divorced brings a whole new thing, a whole new list of challenges and things that will affect your life for the rest of your life. That's just factual. If you don't have kids with somebody, you know, it's a lot easier, I think. But I do, and I happen to have kids with the type of person that, you know, you try really, really hard to co-parent with and be civil with, but no matter what you do, you're put through the ringer. So then you have to constantly feel like the bad guy for holding somebody accountable for doing the simplest parental things, and you have all of these things that literally affect your life forever. Forever. You're always dealing with the fallout of something. And that can be overwhelming. That can be one of those dark thoughts where you're like, man, I'm never gonna have a life after this. I'm never gonna be happy again. Nobody's ever gonna want me. Nobody's ever going to be able to deal with the mess that I am now. You know, I've never, like, if you're coming out of an abusive situation on top of that, and you know, who knows what traumas you're dealing with, so it's like, how am I gonna find a job? How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do that? And there's a ton of stuff that's on your plate now. And I had a lot of moments where I didn't think, like, this is it. Like, what do I do? It's just this horrible, empty, scary, terrified feeling. But if you take it one day at a time, you know, you start seeing where the light comes in. You know, you start seeing where the light's filtering in from that makes the light at the end of the tunnel for you, and you kind of start going after those things. And I think that it's a normal thing to automatically think that, you know, we're just broken and nobody's gonna want us, but I'm here to tell you that at this point in my life, I think that sometimes different types of loves and partners and soulmates are brought into our lives for only a season. And sometimes those seasons can feel like a winter in Alaska with 30 days of no sunshine. But I definitely think that we struggle with letting go. It's not fun. Heartache and losing a relationship sucks more than anything in this world. And it's hard to make that split. It's hard to make that split, and it's scary. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to second guess it. It's okay to take your time. You know, you're human. You're feeling out all of those emotions. You're walking it out. But you just need to keep moving forward. You know, I lived in something for a very long time that I shouldn't have, and because I stayed, it created a lot more aspects that made it harder in the long run. But I've learned so much about myself. I've learned about life. I've learned about people. I've learned about who I am as a woman and who I am just as a human being and who I am as a mom and a partner. And, you know, I've learned a lot from that chapter closing. And in the beginning, that chapter closing, I was standing in between the book pages, this tiny, going, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And I did it. I did it, and I still have challenges that I'm gonna have to go through, of course, that I deal with daily. I still have a lot of things. But I also have an amazing life that I worked really, really hard to reach. Through mental pain, through physical pain, through emotional pain, through tons of different horrible, heart-aching, breaking situations. You know, I made a choice for myself, and I stood by that choice, and I failed at doing the right thing a lot of times, and I continue to strive to make sure that I always do the right thing now, no matter what, even when it's hard and scary. And I'm getting to a good place, just like I am in everything else, but I deal with the daily struggles, I deal with the ups and downs, I deal with the triggers and the memories and this and the that. But I'm in a good place. And all of the things that I feared, like nobody wanting me or my kids, well, I'm pretty sure I found everything I need, everything my kids need. I think I did a pretty good job. And I definitely believe that every single one of you going through those types of situations are going to get there. You are going to wake up someday with the love of your life. Or if you don't want to even be with somebody, you know, doing the thing that you love the most in the whole world, like you're going to be out there doing it, enjoying it. Just give yourself time, love yourself. Take time to breathe and try to respond more than react for your own heart's well-being. So we're going to do a little shout out. Yes, we are. We're going to do a little shout out to some super active doll fam members, some official OG members that have been supporting the show for a really long time, but also some people who I follow and they inspire me. So definitely doing a little shout out. Gonna send a shout out to my babe, Modern Vintage Miss. Miss Modern Vintage Miss is an amazing blogger. She's always supporting my work, like my most recent dick pic post. But she did a really cool photo shoot recently this past couple of weeks that came out super boss. I absolutely love it. And it was her first photo shoot, y'all, and she nailed it. What? But she posts a lot of really awesome content. She talks about all kinds of different topics while tying in her love of vintage and just really expressing her unique style and personality, and just is trying to connect with other people out in the world. And she's a really amazing blogger. I know she just recently started a YouTube channel too. So Modern Vintage Miss, we love you here at Monday Coffee with the Doll. We thank you for being a Doll Fam member. You can find all of her info below. And well, I mean, I just love you, Miss B. Mwah! Doll Fam forever. Well, that was longer than I expected, but we all know I'm a talker. So thank you for watching this episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. Before we sign out, make sure that you guys are still keeping up with 28th Parallel Productions' newest retro sci-fi event of all time. They are making an amazing motion picture that they are have on Indiegogo right now, and if you go and help sponsor and fuel and make happen the amazing Ohio versus the Saucermen, you guys can get some really cool gifts, some really cool merch, including this awesome illustration. Yep, you guys can get this with a small donation to help fund the amazing project that is Ohio versus the Saucermen. So be sure to check out that link below. If you like retro sci-fi, you're gonna love it. They have a lot of really cool content up from the progression of how they're doing, clips, trailers, information about the artists who do all these amazing illustrations. So make sure you check them out. I am doing, I'm going to be doing some new stuff. It's coming. I'm going to be doing a Doll Fam special type of official Doll Fam subscribers that you'll be able to find on my Facebook page, so keep your eyes peeled for that. This week's Monday Coffee Kisser was brought to you by an original ColourPop Lippie Stick Matte X in Poppin. It is one of their original. I don't even know if they still have this color. I have so many of them that I bought even back when they were still pretty new. They weren't as big as they were yet. But their Lippie Stix are probably some of the most amazing and comfortable matte lipsticks. They come in a few different finishes, like they come in a satin, they come in a matte, they come in a matte X, but they are their sticks, not their liquids. I absolutely love these. They have great staying power. They're super comfortable. They kind of just mold to your lip, so I'm a big fan of these. I have an entire container full of every shade you could think of. This one's kind of more of a hot pink magenta, matched my hair color. Sometimes when you have pink hair, red lipstick looks a little weird, but yeah, that's that. So although I'm going into a month of being in Facebook jail, because you know how I do, thug life, I'm definitely not going to let it get me down, because I have a lot of other things I can do. I'm going to be creating some more content for you guys. I'm trying to do more lives. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram. You can find all the information below. Be sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on lots of fun videos. We kind of just do it all here whenever we feel like it. Hashtag America. But I appreciate you. I love you. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and turn on the notification bell so you know when the Doll Fam is having a hangout sesh. Okay? So I am Emily Doll. I'm your head pin-up in charge, your HPIC, if you will say. Signing off, saying thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Monday Coffee with the Doll. And always remember that these are the days that fill your week. Make them amazing because you're in control. So, bye!